lesson on one of my favorite alternate tunings on guitar. This tuning is, well, I got it from a band called TTNG. Definitely check out their music. It's in the genre of math rock, and the guitarist Tim Collis is a really phenomenal fingerstyle musician, fingerstyle guitarist, who uses all sorts of wacky tunings. This tuning is used in a few of their songs. So from low to high, it is E, B, D sharp, F sharp, B, and then E. Again, E, B, D sharp, F sharp, B, E. So this tuning I usually use on an electric, but my electric is kind of not in good condition right now. The setup needs to be adjusted. But anyway, so I'm playing it on an acoustic for now, and it sounds really nice. I'm relatively familiar with this tuning. I have written like around 4 to 6 songs in it. Probably a little bit more, most of which I've forgotten. But anyway, if you want to get into like the nitty gritty like music theory of this tuning, it would be like an E major 7 sus2 or E major 9 chord, no 3. So like to break it down, there's the low E, which would be the root. There's the B, which would be the 5th, and then there's the major 7th of D sharp, and then a 9th as F sharp, and then B for another 5th, and then E for another root. So you could think of that as an E major 7 sus2, but like really I feel like it just implies that there's a 3, so I would say a major 9 chord. Like G sharp sounds really nice with the rest of the strings. G sounds a little crunchier for sure, a little bit more mysterious. But you can make a sort of G minor major 7 kind of thing, or an E minor major 7, E minor major 7. Holy shit. This kind of reminds me of like the James Bond chord, the Bond chord. But anyway, I definitely think of this as an E major 9 chord. And furthermore, I think the keys that this tuning works best with, because I find that alternate tunings, open tunings specifically, really benefit from letting open strings ring out in as many places as you can, pretty much. Especially on acoustic, it just adds a nice like bell-like quality or something, like kind of drony, which always sounds nice on an acoustic. But anyway, because of that, it's best to find the scales or the key that the tuning works best for, in which you can utilize the tuning to the fullest of its ability or of its potential, which in my opinion means using a lot of open strings. And because of that, this tuning definitely fits best with E major and B major. I find myself playing in B major a lot, just because like even if I'm just noodling around, I'll usually play a D, or not a D sharp, an A sharp, and bring it back to B, which kind of very much implies B major, rather than like playing an A natural. I mean, that sounds really nice too. So like I said, E major works, B major works, you can mix them. You can for sure use other scales and keys as well, but those are the ones that I find myself playing in the most. So with that all out of the way, I'll just show you some cool chords, and especially like to keep in mind with these is that they're shapes that I will often move around and not really think about what the chord is necessarily, but just how it sounds. And I'll add open strings to them where possible, or I'll add an extra note, or move one of the fingers around. So like, I encourage you to take these chords and play around with them, make changes here and there. Maybe find something more comfortable than that, or add an extra note in. And that sounds nice. I've never done that before. Anyway, so the first chord, I keep looking down because I have a little pad that I wrote the chords down on, because I don't really think of these in terms of music theory. Like, I don't really break down what the chords are usually. I just think, oh, that sounds nice, I'll do this next. Also sounds nice. So the first one is the 9th fret on the low E, and then the 8th fret on the D string, the 7th fret on the G string, and then the 9th fret on the B string. And I don't play the 5th string at all. And then you can also add in the high E. But essentially this is a C sharp minor 7 chord. No 3 though. And then if you add in the E, that gives you your third, your minor third. So it's a C sharp minor 7, no 3. And you can move that same shape around. And it's always going to be a minor 7, no 3. And of course you can add the high E in. And just every single one has a slightly different flavor. Some of them are a little crunchier, some of them are a little more consonant. This has some dissonance in it, but it sounds really nice in my opinion. Anyway, on to the next one. This one is going to be the 4th fret on the 2 low strings. I usually play it with 2 separate fingers. That's just more comfortable than like barring it for me. And I'm able to control like where my fingers are more, because like when I bar, I'm liable to accidentally mute one of the other strings just because of how fat my fingers are. But so yeah, the 2 low strings on the 4th fret, and then the 3rd fret on the D string, and then the 2nd fret on the G string. And that is going to be another minor 7 chord. Minor 7, no 3 actually. It's a G sharp minor 7, no 3. And you can move that shape around without any change to the function of the chord. But then you can also add in the open B, which gives you that minor 3rd. So now it's just a minor 7 chord, but you can't move that around without changing what the chord is in some way. It sounds nice. It sounds really nice on the 9th fret. The low 2 strings on the 9th fret. Anyway, another version of that first chord that is, instead of being a minor 7, no 3, it is just a G sharp minor 7. And you can of course do it again like that, and it's just going to be another G sharp minor 7. And for both of these, you can add in the high E and get a flat 13 in there. So it's a G sharp minor 7, flat 13. And so is that. And that is going to be the same 3 low notes as the first one, but instead of being on the 2nd fret on the G string, you're on the 5th fret. Kind of reminds me of in E standard, like a major 7 shell voicing, which would be this shape, over the 5th. But you know, that's neither here nor there, whatever. This chord is really nice. I especially love how it sounds on an acoustic. So this is going to be an E major 7 13 chord. it's gonna have the 9th fret on the B, or the 5th string, and the G string, so the A string and the G string, and then the 10th fret on the D string and open E. Super, super beautiful sound. And you can take that shape without the ringing note, and you can move that around. I'm not sure what chord that is off the top of my head. But you can also move it around with the low E ringing out. I find it works best at the 2nd, 4th, and 9th frets. But then you can also do the 7th, the 5th. I would say the 6th is a little too weird. The 4th fret is nice. 3rd fret is a little bit weird. Sounds pretty nice on the 1st fret too. But anyway, so the 2nd fret one is an E6/9 chord. And all of these you can add the top 2 strings if you want, or one of those. It's not going to change the function of the chord, it's just going to make it sound a lot bigger and more lush. Because essentially you're adding the 5th and the root, which doesn't change the structure of the chord really. And then moving that to where you have the 4th fret on the A string and G strings, and the 5th fret on the D string. It's an E major 7/11. So yeah, you have a 6/9 chord and a 7/11 chord. I get the irony or the joke there. That sounds really nice with the open B, but again, that doesn't actually change the technical function of the chord, but it does add in that dissonance of those 2 strings. So those chords are really nice, and then you can also do that shape, which is the same thing as that one, except instead of on the 10th fret, you're on the 8th fret on the D string. And that's going to be a straightforward E major 7. And I didn't take the time to figure out what the other ones would be, but you can do them at the same frets as the other one, and it'll still sound really good. Yeah, so those are all like the specific chords that I could tell you, but then another thing that you should try is just doing the 2 low strings on the same fret, because that's just a power chord. But then adding in open strings. And you can outline your major scale. That part I am doing the 4th or the 6th fret on the low E and the 5th fret on the A string. So I'm doing like simple power chord, simple power chord. What would that be? It's actually like a tritone, and then power chord, all with the open strings. Sounds really nice. And you can continue it up the scale. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm playing the B major scale on both of these strings, because on the low E would be open, 2nd fret, 4th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret, 9th fret, 11th fret, and then 12th fret. And then on the A string, it's open, 2nd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th, 12th. Yeah. And And then another thing that also works really well is double stops with this on the same fret on the A string and the G string, and you can also do that on the D and B strings. So it's the 5th, 7th, 9th, 12th. So this one, it changes to 1 fret below on the D on the D string, and then 1 fret up. So like that on the B string. And then back to the first one. And of course, you can do the open strings with those too. And I find myself coming back to that D sharp all the time as well, which could also imply an E major as the key if you want. But I think it's more like ending on an E major 7 chord. It's just really pretty. Anyway, this is a long video, but I hope this was helpful. I hope you try this tuning out, and if you do, and you make something and post it, like tag me in it so I can see it, because I would love to. I would love to see what people do with this tuning, because like I said, it's not very common. TTNG is pretty much the only band or slash guitarist in Tim Collis that I've seen use this tuning other than myself, and I got it from TTNG. So but yeah, definitely check it out. I would appreciate if you liked this video, commented, and subscribed. There will definitely be more tuning showcases coming. I already have one other tuning that I've been messing around with a lot lately that I would like to show off. Yeah, have a good one, and stay corny.